Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be talking about academic CV. In my previous video I have talked about application documents for graduate school applications such as masters, Ph.D, postdoctoral. I explained explicitly in that video all the applications documents that you'll be required for your graduate school applications, particularly fully funded scholarships. But people have always asked that I should explicitly talk about academic CV, and today's video is dedicated to academic CV. What are the important sections that you need to have in your academic CV, and what are those things that you need to follow as a guide in writing your academic CV? So your academic CV, as I said earlier, it is like an encyclopedia of yourself in the context of academics. Your academic CV will talk about all of you as it is in the case of academics, all things that you have in terms of achievements, all you have attained in the context of academics. That is what we meant by academic CV. And the graduate school committee, the admission committee, they want to know you so well, because they have no opportunity to meet you before they make their application decision. But your academic CV, if they cite it and they go through it chronologically, they will be able to tell more about you with the content of the academic CV. And that is what an academic CV meant. It will represent you, it will describe you, and it will tell a whole lot about you to the admission committee. So you would not want to misrepresent yourself, meaning your academic CV should present you very, very well in such a way that when they go through the academic CV, it will be very irresistible for them not to consider you for that very position. So what are the important sections that your academic CV should include? The first and very important section of your academic CV is your contact details. The section 1 of your academic CV should include your contact details, your name, your phone number, your email address, and maybe 2 emails, not necessary, but a workable email is okay. So it can be official, it can be personal email, but if it is official, it shows how professional you are. So the first section should include, or they shouldn't include too much of information, your bio and all. Your age, your sex, your religion is not necessary in your academic CV. You wouldn't want to bother the admission committee writing all those. It has nothing to do with your academic information. And the graduate school committee, the admission committee, especially in the US, they have nothing to do with your age, your gender, your religion, and all those. It has no usefulness in your academic CV. You wouldn't want to include that. The second and important section in your academic CV is your research interest. Your research interest is very necessary, because it is the research interest that will make the admission committee to know the lab in which you will be fit to join, to know the professors that would be willing to work with you, or that you can fit into his lab or his current research or upcoming research. So your research interest is very important, and I would advise, like I've always said, that you include up to 3, 4, 5 research interests. So how do I mean by research interest? You can put, for those that studied microbiology, you want to see maybe medical microbiology, maybe clinical microbiology, and so on. For people of mechanical engineering, you may want to put additive manufacturing. You may want to say microelectromechanical systems, or you might want to say design and manufacturing, and so on. So mechanical engineering is a field and is a course, and we have several research interests under it, and that is the way it is for several other fields. So you would need to state categorically your research interest. That is very, very important. The another important section is your education. You would need to list in chronological order your degrees and your the school in which you have attained those degrees. So you need to list them in chronological order, that is in order of your years of attainment of those degrees. In fact, you need to also list the type of degree. Is it a bachelor's degree? Is it an HND degree? Is it a master's degree? And in what field? And if you have a very good grade, you can include the degree, the classification, the CGPA, to impress. But if you know that your CGPA is not so fantastic, you would want to just silence on this, because you have to put your big shots forward, so in order to impress. So another important section is your honors and award. You would want to list the honors, the award that you have won in the past. This shows your level and your competency in the context of your academics. Have you won maybe an award of excellence in terms of academic, maybe best graduating students in this, or best research students, or best results in so and so course during your undergraduate studies or your master's degree, as the case may be? If you have any of such awards, you would love to include that in your academic CV. They are very, very important elements to be included. Another and the fifth section is your research experience. Your research or hands-on experience, very, very important, because your admission, your graduate school admission, is either on the basis of graduate research assistance or teaching assistance. So you would want to include your research experience, and you have to tell us or tell the admission committee the specific experience that you garnered or you had from that research, and you have to summarize this experience. Maybe you would want to include something like you learned the use of several maybe equipments in the areas of material testing, and you would want to tell the name of that very equipment that you have used, maybe how to read some specific parameters and the functions and the purpose of those parameters. In every field, you've got maybe some equipment, some machines that you have used for your previous research, and how proficient and how good you could use those machines or equipment. There could be the specific experience that you have gained from that research that you have done in the past. Maybe how to culture, how to read, how to machine, how to make use of some measuring or machining equipment. A whole lot of experience that you could be gathered, but don't be over impressive when it comes to this. Just look specifically and summarize whatever you must have gained in your previous research. Then another important sections, and the sixth section that I will be mentioning in this video, is your teaching experience. Yeah, you have to list your teaching experience. Very, very important. And your teaching experience can span from, maybe you have a group of a study group of 10 that you conduct a tutorial during your undergrad study or postgrad. Yeah, it is a teaching experience. Maybe you took part in a tutorial for your department, your college, or the institution at large. All these forms your research experience. No matter how small it looks, it forms a teaching experience. No matter how small it looks, they are very important elements that could give you that very position that may be competitive. So you wouldn't want to neglect any part of it. And if you have also had teaching experience outside of the university in which you have graduated, you should also include that. I'm just trying to explain that those very teaching experience that you considered so small, they are not small. They are very significant when it comes to decision by the admission or grad school admission committee. Another important thing is your work experience. You have to include relevant work experience to the application or to the area of research in which you are applying. If your work experience has nothing to do with this very research area or research interest, you will not bother yourself, because everything that would be considered is how you are a good fit for the very supervisor, the research lab you want to join, and so on. So you just have to look at work experience that fits perfectly for the course or the program you're applying for. If you have a research experience far from you may not bother. Imagine a mechanical engineering graduate that has worked in banking in a bank. Of what importance would that be to being a design engineer or additive manufacturing engineer, or maybe any other areas of research interest in mechanical? It has no meaning. So you may not bother to even put that. It will only show how disjointed, how unorganized you are in the areas of professional achievement. Another important section I would like to talk about is publications. Yeah, you have to list all your publications in order, and wherever your name appears, particularly if it is a publication that has many authors, you have to bold where your name appear, so that it can be easily cited by the admission committee. So your publications, your conferences, and whether the publication is still ongoing, you have to list them, because at times you send a paper for publication, is still in the stage of peer review. You can list all those. It is ongoing publications. So if you have your manuscripts that you are still working on, or you have it as preprint, it has not been peer reviewed, you may not necessarily put all this, because we are talking about publications, and publications has to be in a reputable journal. So a work that has not been peer reviewed, that has not been sent to a journal, is not yet a publication. The reason why you have to list ongoing publications, particularly the one that is still undergoing rounds of peer review, is that it's also to show your competency or how good you understand the game of research. So you can list all these. Another important section that you need to list is your presentations. Probably you've been invited for lectures or for seminars, or as guest speaker somewhere in the context of academics. You talk to a group of people in that research area or in your professional affiliations. You can also list them. They are important elements that should be included. Also, your professional development and training, that is very relevant to the application that you are currently submitting, that you tend to submit. You have to include it. Your professional affiliations too is very, very important. Maybe you are a member of a professional body, maybe current Nigerian Institute of Management, Nigerian Institute of Microbiology, and so on. You have to include all those, the professional affiliations, and the level and the year. You have to include them. They are very, very important. It shows how professionally inclined you are, or how close you are to the apex, or to the professional body that govern, or that see to the affairs of your areas of studies or research. Another important thing that people often neglected, or just considered inadequate to be included in their CV, but unfortunately they are very important, is your professional service. And this can be your peer review service. Some people, they've been invited for peer review service by a journal, so you have to include all this. It is very, very important. It shows how professionally affiliated you are, and how responsible and how inclusive you have been to your professional body. In fact, there are some people, they have let me just put it like that so that it may not be looking so complex. Your professional service, very, very important. I'm saying this, that is if you have It's not compulsory. They are now looking for, oh, at all costs you must have a professional service or professional affiliation. No, if you have, you put them. But since you are aware that there are important elements that should be included in your CV, your academic CV, then it is very important and very good that you work towards all those, particularly if you are planning for grad school application and fully funded scholarship, your destination. The 13th section that I'll be talking about in this video is your what? Community service and volunteering. This is another aspect, another section that people never consider to be very, very important. Your community service, your volunteering experience or service, very, very important. They are so important because the grad school expects that you have a very good interactions with your what? With your community or your environment. You have to give back to the environment. They are looking for vibrant and contributive students that can join their research lab. All those have a way of influencing your research or your program in graduate school. Another important sections, and the 14th section I'll be talking about, is your mentoring activities. You can list some of your mentees and how involving you have been in the journey of their journey, or in the journey of mentoring them, and maybe the specific growth and where they are currently. There are things that you can list. And finally, and the 15th section that I'll be talking about is your words, language. And language, yeah, you can list the language and how proficient you are, the language that you speak, that you understand, and the level of proficiency. That's the 15th section. Let me add the final section, the 16th section. Though this very section, some people, there's a way they list it, but it is important that you do it and let it be reflective. So the 16th section I'm adding is references. Some people will put available on request. There's no big deal. You can always put your reference and references. And in fact, how do you include them? Put your references. Let the admission committee see the relationship that exists between yourself and the referees, and put their contact details and their current place of work and their position. This shows how close or how good you know these referees. And I believe if you found this video so useful, you can comment, subscribe, and like this video, and continue to share this video. And I will also like to talk about this important part. You should make the font size for your academic CV is either point size 11 or 12 is okay. That's the first thing you have to take. The font style, you can Times New Roman is cool. Then you would also love to arrange your academic CV. Let it be very regular. It's not that you use a particular font size and font style here, maybe during the section that talks about your publication, your research interest, and education, and another section you are using another font size and font style. No, let it be regular. Your CV, as I said earlier, will represent you, how organized you are. You would not also want to waste too much of space. You have to arrange everything. Use maybe margin or maybe 1 point or 1.5 at maximum. Let it be close. You wouldn't want to waste space in between your CV, because if you waste too much of space, you'll be having an academic CV of 5-6 pages. Who have that time to start reading that very long page? Make it to be concise and succinct. It makes it very readable, very appealing, and very interesting to be reviewed. And if you could follow some of this guide, you would be having an irresistible academic CV that is capable of winning you a fully funded scholarship. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much.